Hey guys, MJ here from Nitecore Singapore. The EX7 is finally here and it's been 7 years since they released a magnetic-based handheld light. The last one was the MT21C that came out in 2018. It maxes out at 1000 lumens here, but the EX7 now maxes out at 6000 lumens. Look at that. But who is this for? If you're buying for tactical or EDC, you won't agree with many of the features on this light and should look elsewhere. But if you're in industrial maintenance, facility managers, warehouse ops, that's who Nitecore built this for. Hands-free mounting on machinery, different beam types all in one light for checking deep tunnels and comfortable close-up work. It all sounds perfect, right? But there are some drawbacks. Their marketing shows 3 different beam modes: Spotlight, Mixed Light and Floodlight. I tested all 3 and one of them doesn't do what you think it does. I'll show you exactly what I mean later in the video. Then there's this new controls here. Some totally hate it, some love it. There is no in between. I'll show you how it works. Let me know in the comments which side of the fence you're on. I also compare it with other lights in Nitecore's range that are exactly the same price, size and battery type. This is where the numbers don't add up in the way Nitecore claims. Now before we get into it, I'm giving away this EX7. So subscribe, drop a comment about whether you actually use this in your work and be honest about it, right? So once we hit 1000 likes, I'll pick a winning comment and reply directly to it. So first up, how does the EX7 switch between spotlight and floodlight modes without any moving parts? Right, thanks to Nitecore's newest LED. Think of it like this. Instead of one big LED bulb, you got 20 tiny little LED bulbs arranged in a cross pattern inside the bezel here. Okay, each arm of that cross has 5 LEDs, 1 bright in the center and 4 dimmer ones around it. But here's the clever part, the light can turn the different combinations of these 20 LEDs on and off. So if you want a spotlight, just turn on the center LEDs. If you want a wider beam, turn on the outer LEDs. So there's no moving parts, no rotating heads, no switching of lenses, just different LEDs turning on and off to change the beam pattern. Now out of the box, it turns on with a spotlight beam like this. Right, only the center LEDs are on for maximum throw. You see the intense hotspot here. So this hits up to 350 meters at 1500 lumens. For industrial maintenance workers, this works really well to check equipment at distance, check valve positions, label identification, structural inspections from the ground up. Press and hold the button to cycle to mixed light, where all LEDs are on. Hey, this gets you a nice general purpose beam that gets you about 280 meters at 1500 lumens. I press and hold again to cycle to flood beam. Okay, now only the outer LEDs are on and you get this beam that hits up to 200 meters. Okay, at 1500 lumens. Now whatever beam type you leave it in, it remembers and will turn on in the same one every time. So here's the thing about this floodlight. To me, this is not a true floodlight. Floodlights are meant to show you a wider view without distracting hotspots in the middle so that you can work comfortably. This is the Nitecore P10iX, a true floodlight. So there's no hotspot at all, right? And look at the beam angle. It's incredibly wide. So police officers love this model because as soon as you enter a room with this, there's no blind spot. You can see everything, you can survey the site. P10iX here, look at where the light starts compared to the EX7's floodlight. See the difference? The field of view is the same as spotlight mode. They just lowered the intensity of this hotspot. It's still concentrated in the same beam pattern. So really you've got 2 beam patterns on the EX7. Spotlight with concentrated hotspot and mixed light with all LEDs active for balanced beam. The floodlight is more like a dimmed spotlight. But wait, the box says 6000 lumens. So what really happens when you crank this to 6000 lumens? That's technically true for 50 seconds. Right, to get to 6000 lumens, you need to double press the button here, double tap. Now we are in 6000 lumens of mixed light. All LEDs are firing. Look at the incredible wall of light here. Okay, now watch the timer on screen. It's gonna run for about 50 seconds. There. Right, at 50 seconds, it dropped from about 6000 lumens to 600 lumens. That's where it will stay for the remaining runtime. Now, if the big 6000 lumens is of no use to you, you can make double press activate a 3000 lumen searchlight mode instead that hits up to 500 meters like it says on the box here. So first, double press, right? Then press and hold to cycle between 6000 lumens or 3000 lumens search mode. Right, let go and it's set. So searchlight mode lasts slightly longer at 70 seconds. Look at the very intense hotspot here, 3000 lumens. Then it dims down to about 1000 lumens after that 70 seconds. So you can see how the heat spreads through the light on the brighter setting. The head gets uncomfortably hot after a few minutes too hot to hold comfortably. The body stays cooler because the knurling acts as heat fins, but the head becomes a problem. In real world use, plan on running the light at about 600 to 1500 lumens where it's thermally stable. Right, as for the double press blast of light, those 50 seconds or 6000 lumens are perfect for initial scene illumination. When you arrive at a search area for security incident, blast it at max for quick assessment, then settle into 600 to 1000 lumens for sustained work. No one walks around with 6000 lumens all the time. If you need that amount of brightness, go for a bigger light that can handle more heat. Now the part where everyone is worked up about, the new controls. Now before I explain why, let me say this, the button itself is excellent. It's large, easy to find in the dark, works perfectly with gloves as well. No mushiness, you can press it and you know it's registered. There are 4 blue LEDs on the left which show your output level and 4 green LEDs on the right to show a battery level in 25% increments. Very useful. But here's where it gets complicated. Because everything runs through this one side button and it always starts on low, there's no mode memory. For tactical users expecting instant turbo, this seems backwards. Here's how it works. When we short press the button, it always starts it low, and within 3 seconds, you press to cycle through low, medium, high, turbo. Right, once you get the beam you want, let go, don't touch anything and go to work. After 3 seconds, if you want to change the brightness again, any press turns it off instead of changing brightness. This is where a lot of people get so annoyed with it. It goes against usual flashlight controls. Most lights allow you to change brightness level while it's on, then long press to turn off, but long press here will change the beam pattern. So here is Nitecore's reasoning, and it actually makes sense for the target user. First, this is built for long-term operations, maintenance and industrial work where you're not constantly switching brightness modes like police or security scenarios. You set a brightness and work for hours. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Some users also complain about why it always turns on in low mode. On work sites, multiple people share flashlights. They are charged at a command post, and then users that need them just take and go. Now each person has different brightness needs. If the light memorizes the last user setting, the next person gets blinded or has to cycle through different modes. No memory means everyone starts at low and then selects what they need and then they go. Now another reason it turns on in low, because of its single press activation. It might turn on in your pocket or bag if it presses against other objects. So if something presses against it in your pocket, you get 30 lumens like this, not 1500 lumens. There is some safety built into it. To lock out the light, just loosen the tail cap a quarter turn. This cuts the power and prevent any possibility of the light turning on. Now this is important for airline travel or when storing the light for many months. I always recommend using this method over the electronic lockout mode. So what do you guys think about the light always turning on in low mode? Let me know in the comments too. Now there are 2 more hidden modes on the EX7. Now you can triple press 1, 2, 3, 4, 3500 lumen strobe. Now this is useful for getting the attention of other vehicles and on large work sites. Now most brands market this strobe as a self-defense kind of thing, but the real purpose is to get the attention of whoever you are flashing this at, which from an industrial context is important for safety. Now there's also a 1 lumen moonlight mode. You long press when the light is off. Okay, you see the moonlight here. So moonlight mode runs for 23 hours. So if you plan to leave your light somewhere in the dark for a while, set it on moonlight mode like this so you can always come back and find it. Next up, the runtime problem. Now why does the EX7 run 2 hours less than similar Nitecore lights of the same size, battery and price? At around 1500 lumens, the MH12 Pro here runs 4.5 hours. The EDC35 here runs 4.75 hours. The EX7 runs just 2.5 hours. 2 hours is a huge gap. Why? This contradicts Nitecore's efficiency claims. They say the new LED uses only 60% of the power of older LEDs while achieving the same performance, but the EDC35 uses multi-core LED array and runs 4.75 hours. The supposedly more efficient LEDs cannot match it, probably because they are running 4 at a go. So you are technically paying a runtime penalty for the beam switching capability. The same battery capacity, same working brightness, half the runtime. But at lower brightness, the efficiency improves and matches the other lights. At 600 lumens here, it runs for 5.5 hours. At 1800 lumens, it runs for 15 hours, similar to the other 2 models. So is the runtime gap worth it? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Now the battery itself is a removable 21700 5500 mAh battery, so you can swap it out on the job. The light has a built-in USB-C charging port here. It takes 2 hours 50 minutes from 0 to full. So in case this is the first time you're seeing such a battery, this is how big it is compared to an AA battery. So that's how it can put out so much brightness and last that long. It's because of these incredible batteries. The magnetic tail cap is strong and tail stands perfectly like this. You can angle it upside down or sideways, right? It won't slide even a millimeter, right? This is magnetic, so there, look at that. Very, very stable, even on a pole, right? Most lights will drop off a pole base like this. Now the whole light is waterproof, IP68, so I've submerged this in this tank for about 2 hours. No leaks, no problems, but watch the USB-C port cover here. It must be pressed fully flush for the seal to be intact. Now there is no holster because the EX7 comes with a two-way clip like this, stainless steel, screw mounted with thread locker, so it won't work itself loose over time. I carry this on a belt daily for 3 weeks. Zero movement, no problem here. Now pro tip, you can mount it up or down like this on a backpack strap, lighting the way in front of you. Okay, so some of the guys put it here as well. So is this the right light for you? In my opinion, the keys to understanding this is an industrial work light. It's not a tactical EDC light. So only buy the EX7 if you work extended operations where you set a brightness and work for hours, industrial maintenance, facility management, warehouse ops, shipping ports, right, construction sites. The no memory design makes sense when multiple workers share lights throughout shift. Also buy this if you need magnetic tail cap for hands-free mounting on machinery, vehicles, electrical panels or metal surfaces during repair work. Buy this also if you benefit from switching between concentrated spot like this for distance check and mixed beam for closer work in industrial environments. Now skip the EX7 if you're doing tactical work, right, requiring turbo access. The always start at low is wrong for rapid deployment scenarios. Also skip this if you need over 2.5 hours runtime at high output. At the same price, the MH12 Pro or EDC 35 here runs twice as long, right? It's better for extended continuous use. Skip this also if you need a true wide flood like this. The so-called flood mode here won't replace the P10iX for room clearing or large area illumination. You still have this pretty intense hotspot here if you're working up close. So what do you think? Does the industrial use case make sense for your work? Would you sacrifice runtime for magnetic mounting and beam switching? Let me know in the comments below. So if you're keen on picking one up, we have the EX7 in stock now at nitecore.sg/EX7. Use code YT10 to get 10% off. For more honest gear reviews, subscribe and hit the bell. I'll see you on the next one. MJ signing out.